Good afternoon. Happy Monday. And we are here for reading number 3 of What is Calling for Your Attention. There we go. A little bit softer light. And with this reading, we are taking a look at our last oracle card, which was a higher view. Beautiful card. And so I do want to welcome you today and let you know that we are so happy to have you come by and listen, allowing me to speak into your life. I do not take it lightly. And so thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and lend your ear. And, just also receive what it is that is being heard in regards to the energies that I am tapped into. What is calling out to your attention is what we're talking about today. I feel like there's so many things that are craving our energy and our attention. It's almost hard sometimes to hear those things that are very important. And so that was my reason for pulling this out. I felt led to actually look into what is calling to your attention. And this is from a perspective of spirituality, higher realms, things, or, resonances of a higher frequency. Right? It's those types of things, which many times comes in subtly, and because of the busyness and everything that's happening in life, sometimes it's difficult to stop and really pay attention to what's happening. And so that's what we're talking about today. We did the first two Saturday and Sunday, and this is the last one. And so a higher view. This reading is accompanied by this beautiful fall leaf. And so if you chose pile number 3, this reading is for you. And so let's go ahead and set this up for your viewing. A higher view. I feel like this is the energy calling out. It's almost an energy that's calling for you to attune to the overall picture. And if you were to for those of you that have traveled and you've flown in an airplane, many of us have. But if you have not, once you get so high up, things look massively different, right? It's almost as if you're in a whole different world, the way that you're able to look down. It's almost literally like looking at a map. For me, that's what it reminds me of when I'm in an airplane, because the land is, you can see how it has been shaped and how parts of the land has been squared off and divided into sections. It's almost like looking down at a map, and you're able to see a greater span of perspective, right, on what the land looks like, not being on the land and seeing it up close, but actually from a distance. And you're able to actually see parts of the land in relation to others, right? And mainly the part that you live in, when you pull up and you see it from a greater distance, it's a whole different perspective. You get to see it from a whole different view, from a higher view. And I feel like that's the energy that's coming in. And with that view, not only are you able to see a greater span of distance and land and a greater area of what's going on and how it sits in relation to other things. And you get to you get the opportunity and the privilege of being able to see things in a more complex way, and your decisions will change because of this change of perspective that you have been granted. And so I feel for a higher view, this is the energy calling in and giving you an advantage, right? It's giving you an advantage, and an advantage when it comes to consciousness, and possibly the ability to kind of stand back in a position of neutrality, letting go of judgment or preconceived notions or assumptions. It also gives you a greater opportunity to detach and to remain unbiased because you're able to see things from a distance. It's hard to see when you're in it, but when you step out of it or away from it, it's almost like you're able to see different sides, right? And how they are relating and how they're connecting. It gives like an advantage where you're able to pull back and just allow things to be. Yeah, it's hard to see beyond what it is that we're in. And so being able to pull back, it's almost like we are learning to be unconditioned, right? And we're learning to be more aware, less reactive, less, on automatic mode. It's almost like a shaking into awareness. And also the advantage of that is it allows us to step outside of our patterns and what would normally be our triggers, and it helps us to step outside of our comfort zone and feel safe doing so. It also could open up opportunities to step into new things. It's hard to see others' perspective if you're smack dab in the middle of your own. And so I feel like this higher view, the energy here is allowing someone to see into someone else's perspective. It's calling your attention to open up and to pull back from your perspective so that you can actually see the greater view at play here. And with that, there's going to be a connection with others that's going to help you to kind of step out of your preconceived notions of the world. Yeah, because we all have them, depending on, how we were raised, and some of the things that has happened since then. We all are, we often say by the time you reach 40, 50, 60, you're set in your ways. Sometimes before that, but it's almost like that energy, being set in your way. But this energy calling to you is an energy that's attempting to free you from that, so that you would be open to see a greater point of view, to see more. Because I feel like if you're not able to see the full picture, you can only have a preconceived notion of what's going on. Until you're able to see a clear picture of everything that's going on, you're not going to be able to see rightly. And this is going to release from the naming and the blaming and not being able to be released from obstacles, that would stand in the way from discovering a path more beautiful and more compelling views. Yeah. And this is going to open up more opportunities as well. Needless to say, it's going to open up more opportunities. And so this is almost calling in the energy of being more graceful in the interactions that you may be having, and see how everything is connected and how every experience is actually a gift, and maybe possibly give you another way to respond to things. But this is just what I'm getting here. I know there's so much more to be opened up here, but this is just opening up to a greater perspective that you may be seeing life through. I feel like it's what is calling to your attention right now, but let's dive in for more. And so I also have love unabashedly and have patience. I feel like this is definitely the energy of tolerance. I feel like in opening up this greater view, there's going to be a greater awareness and a greater ability to connect with others and to receive others and not have to have them show up a certain way, right? Love unabashedly is talking about definitely being open and not having to measure things, or put a scale to things, but accepting love as just something that's containable. It's wild. It's free, and it releases us from having to keep a tally, of who's wrong or how much, you gave or how much someone owes you or what's adequate or appropriate or what's, logical and what's not. And this is all as it pertains to your life and your dreams. But this is the energy of just openly flowing, loving freely, and giving freely, not keeping a score, not keeping track. And when you release that, when you release people from that, love wins, and so do you. I feel like is the energy here. And pulling in this higher view, stepping away so that you can see a bit more of what's really going on. And then having patience is just what it says. It may not be exactly what you expected or how you imagined it. It may even turn out to be much greater than anything you've ever imagined. Anything. And you're being asked to pull towards you this energy of patience as things are transforming and moving around, and as these changes are being made, right? Because you're all up in it, right? You may not be able to see the full picture of what's happening or what's transforming on your behalf. And so pulling back might help you see things, might help you be a little bit more patient as well. I feel like for who I'm speaking to, there's a need to understand that there are forces and there are energies that are working on your behalf. And that you've been working diligently, you've been working hard, and you've been investing. And I feel like you might be in that in between where you haven't quite realized the reward of what you've done, but understand that there are forces working on your behalf beyond what you can see. And so you're being asked to step into the energy of trust, of faith, as these things are being brought to you exactly with divine timing. Everything that you need to allow you to express and to feel and experience on the highest level, the fullest level possible. And I can't help but notice these two cards. They have the flowers here. And these flowers are symbolic of wholeness, of oneness. It's almost like the energy of being complete and full. It's like a whole expression of living, oneness with self. These types of flowers. And the names are not coming to me. Dang it, I forget the name of the flower. I know it's a Japanese flower that's symbolic. It symbolizes wholeness and oneness within self. And so we also have beyond the mind, the heart beats. And relax the hold of darkness and be at calm. And let's see. Definitely love just all of the imagery. It's so beautiful and life-giving. And so with beyond the mind, the heart beats. I feel like this is talking about, especially as I look at this picture and we see like it's all, and I don't know why this is reminding me of like the beginning of creation. It's almost like something being born out of nothing. And when it's being born, it's almost like in a chaotic state. But as it moves, it actually becomes more settled and order begins to form and it begins to look like something recognizable. And so I feel like there's the energy of chaos here, just in regular life. And just constant movements and fluctuations in the mind. It can really be hard to remember that there is a level of sanctuary that lies within. You know, and whether or not we recognize that we have a level of sanctuary and peace within, whether we recognize it or not, it's always there. But beneath the endless activity and that vast spaciousness that restores and connects us to something greater, there's something that exists outside of what we would consider time. And it's called eternity, right? Some might call it eternity. Some might call it space, you know. Within the sanctuary, though, there is a feeling that's felt. And that feeling, or it's a sound that's felt rather than heard, is what I'm hearing. There's a sound that's felt rather than heard. And that sound is actually like the reverberating heartbeat of the entire universe. It's like a pulse that the universe is bringing forth. That kind of is similar to our heartbeats or the rhythm. It's almost like the universal heartbeat. And this heartbeat is almost like the summing up of everything, the totality of life, all of our beings. It's almost like the summing up of everything that can be felt in oneness, through listening to and through feeling for that sacred sound. That's kind of like the heartbeat within us. And it's through that heartbeat or that pulsing that we get to experience like a love that it's more than preference, more than something that we can attach to. This love that expires and that lifts and energizes and moves us to create, even beyond what we once thought was possible. This love is a love for life, the need to feel alive and thriving and to express something. You know how you get that moment of unction and you have to do it right then and there, right? And it's almost like a quest for something that's going to be fulfilling. And these are like the sacred urges that cause us to thrive and reject fear and promote passion instead, passion for being alive. And this is the energy that flows through us, and it can be felt like within the beating of the heart. It's almost like the energy of falling in love before you realize it. And every time your hearts come close, it's like a beat, it's something that's exciting the internal parts of your being, that's affecting every part of your body. It's almost like that kind of feeling. You don't really, when you first fall in love, you don't really think a lot. You just do. You're very passionately led, and you allow yourself to be free from the binds and the bounds of the mind. It's almost that kind of energy here. And that kind of energy has the ability, it's almost like the purest state of your being. It has the ability to turn, difficult things into simple things. Mountains can be made into just small little molehills when we're moving through the heart. And it shifts our intelligence with this sense of sensitivity, and it allows us to be able to sense how we should move, the way forward, right? Even through dangerous places or pathways, our response is imminent. Even before it actually reaches the physical world, it's done. There's almost like this supernatural moving when we're in this type of energy. Beyond the mind, the heart beats. There's like an innate sense of connection that we move in. It's that energy where there's not a lot of thinking, there's just feeling energy. It's almost like divine energy, moving in our divine energy, the most purest sense of who we are. And it's different because the heart's intelligence doesn't allow us to see and know in the same way that we do when we allow our minds to direct us. It's almost like we have to open ourselves up in another way if we want to really benefit from that innate intelligence that flows through the heart. I hope the way I've explained that makes sense. With the mind, we see, we plan, and we strategize, but with the heart, we feel, we respond, and we sense, intuitively. And so with the mind, we have to feel and sense our way through instead of strategizing and thinking, and so there's almost like a closer sense of connection to everything when we're moving through our hearts. And this is not for the faint of heart. This is for the brave and the courageous and the trusting, And so for who I'm speaking to, you are being asked, or the energy that's calling you in is the energy of trust towards your heart. And your heart is wanting you to drop into it. Not that you're going to leave your mind behind. The mind is important too, but it can't supplant the heart. The role that the mind plays is to really serve the truths of the heart. In other words, to create the spacious, chamber of receptiveness into which like the sacred rhythm of your heart can respond. But for this energy, it comes to guide you. Deep within, I feel like you know what to do and you know what's true. And it doesn't even matter whether, the mind and its plans agrees with what your inner sense is feeling or what your heart is sensing. It's almost like you're being called into this willingness to trust your heart and to really put down any fear that you're feeling when you step into that energy of innate movement through the heart. Let your heart lead you. Your heart wants to lead you. It's calling for your attention, your heart. But you have to be certain that your faith and your trust is aligned with what you feel. I feel like there's been times where the head and the heart has been in conflict. And that's true for all of us in different, parts of life. And this is where the struggle comes from. Sometimes deep suffering comes from this as well. But right now, what you are being called, what's calling to you is to strike up a truce, right, between your heart and your mind. And this truce is a way for your mind to kind of surrender the white flag and surrender to your heart. It's imminent. It's important right now, if you haven't already done it. And there's going to be a feeling in your heart you're going to feel tugging you and leading you. And then you're going to feel your mind learning how to submit to that and follow the guidance of your heart rather than trying to really be out front and see everything and sort everything out in advance in order to make you to feel safe. Like there's going to be such a relief as you let go of that old way to this calling that's calling towards you. And your mind is going to feel so much more relaxed and trusting. It is going to be like a weird sense of adjustment, a time of feeling a little uncomfortable, but as you get used to submitting to your heart in this way, you'll find that you'll begin to live in a different way. And sooner or later, it'll be like you get used to living without so much foresight, but with so much insight, wisdom, and energy in the present moment to really create and flow in that energy. And so with beyond the mind, the heart beats. That's the energy that's calling out to you right now. And with relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. Right? This is interesting too. Because when I see this, I see like a spaceship coming and about to beam somebody up. That's what this reminds me of. I don't know if that was the intention. And so let's see. And overall, I feel like this falls right in line with this because this is a lifting. Like I said, it's almost like being lifted up into a spaceship. But really, this picture actually is symbolic of being lifted up into another level of known reality, like the next level of consciousness or a higher frequency or a higher voltage that really requires a more absolute trust and a heart that is really surrendered into like the greater aspect of the existence within everything in your reality or everything in the universe even. So that life can happen to you, through you, and with you more quickly. Yeah. More radically, more beautifully, more boldly. And you're being invited into this new reality. You're being called into this new bold way with loving optimism, this new way of existing. And it's not only of, the potential of experiencing life this way, but it's also of manifesting, right? Manifesting this great big way of living. Yeah. And so there's a process of leaping from what you know into, what may feel a little uncomfortable at first until you realize it's working for you. And in the process of this, right, you may be looked at funny. You may be seen as a little crazy, but it's leaving behind like everything that used to be, that represented weightiness, hesitation, procrastination, doubting yourself, and feeling like you are alone many times as well, or you have to do everything on your own. Yeah, and stepping into this area of the unknown can be a little intimidating, a little unsafe, a little impulsive, right? And it's like, how do you feel that sense of security or safeness, stepping away from everything that you know, or doing things the way that you're used to doing things. And I feel like that's all part of the process that's being called here. Relax the hold of darkness and be at cause. And that's why it's almost like an act of being transported. There's a lot of help here that's happening because there's the realization that, yeah, there may be a need for a little help here to make this transition. But are you ready? I feel like this is going to be exhilarating, but also challenging as well. It's almost like when you're in the hold of darkness, you'll feel pushed to kind of turn away, to imagine it's all too much, and to create excuses about what it is that you desire and that you're not really secure, grounded enough, that you might be being too flighty or flaky, or that you're not living in the real world. But I feel like you'll understand, or you'll soon come to understand through the experience, that that's just fear. It's just fear talking. It's not truth. And if that sacred rebel within us is not awakened, then we choose to continue to live in the space that we're used to, which may be a culture drenched in fear and distrust of nature. But for those who are ready, who are awakened, it's almost like there's going to be a knowing of timing. There's going to be a knowing of life and death. There's going to be just this adaptation into the creative process. It's going to be just like a knowing that happens. There's not just a knowing of nature, there's an understanding of what nature knows as well. And there will be a trust that there's going to be the support needed there, and the guidance to become all that we were created to be as well. It doesn't mean that you just flow along and allow the universe or your creator to do everything for you and just flow along, passively. That's not what that means. It's empowerment. Relax the hold of darkness and be at cause is an empowerment to be freed from the dark hold and be empowered to take up your cause. It's being free to act and affirm, the intuitive feelings that you have, and to follow through on them as well. It's doing whatever expressive art form you have, like you've lost your mind, right? And just completely being free from the heart space, though. It also means writing, even though you have no conscious idea of what you're even writing. The words are just streaming forth on the page before, your curious eyes. It means speaking out about your words, about your work, whatever it is that you do, and never really feeling the need or insecurity about it, never having to hide it, just speaking out about it. Allow it to breathe like fresh air and to be held by someone else in their gaze, right? It's almost like this detachment from darkness that would say in the back of your mind that it's not enough, or it has to be this way or that way, or the best that it was ever made, whatever that means, in order for it to be worthy of a place in the world. But instead of taking on that perspective, it's just letting it be what it is. It could fly, it could endure, and it might not. Yeah, this is calling to you to understand that all of nature, including you, your passions and dreams, will be what is needed right at the time that it is needed and how it is needed, according to divine wisdom. And there's a trust that's calling to you right now for whatever that is that you do within yourself and within nature as it pertains to you. And so you're being asked right now, the energy being called to you right now is the energy of going within and allowing yourself to imagine deep diving off of the edge of what you have known up until now. There's so much more calling to you right now. It's time to leap. It's your time. And so let's find out how these energies we just examined are calling to you, how they are moving and coming through for you. All right. So how is this coming through, this calling for your attention? We have environment, teaching and learning, and effort. So definitely, I feel like through nature. I don't know if you're divinely connected to nature, but I do feel like there are definitely signs and synchronicities coming through in a natural way through nature. So this could very much be a time to really pay attention to your environmental area, right? And this is a heightened sense of environmental awareness. This may even come through educating yourself with teaching and learning here and finding out what's going on behind the scenes. There's a level of honoring Earth or Mother Earth as a living, breathing entity and recognizing that we're actually privileged to be here as her guests. There's a level of that type of awareness and consciousness and connection that allows you to connect to everything in nature. And you actually start to find that you're communicating with nature, and she'll start communicating with you in turn. And so you're being called. I feel like that there's a lot of calling your attention through your environment, through nature. And there's a calling to dig deep. You may already be doing this because we're talking about how this is coming through. You could be someone connected to nature, connected to your environment, maybe someone who is personally or politically inclined to get involved with the interest of planet Earth. I feel like a lot of this calling out to you is happening through that, through your activation with environment. And if you're not, it's calling through this avenue, through the environment in some type of way. And so maybe to pay more attention, if you're not, to your environment, to nature in general. You could be actually opening, learning, and teaching something in some type of way. This energy is coming through that avenue of learning and teaching. This is actually a very significant time of growth right now, and learning as well. And whatever it is that you are learning, I feel like it's going to play a huge part. It's going to be a great source of wisdom for you and for others around you as well. And so whatever this energy is that's calling to you, it's coming through the avenue of what you're learning. And not that this is someone that's studying. This is coming through life lessons, I feel like is just as valuable as any as any actual learning that you could be doing, even any academic learning. The life lessons are just as valuable. And this is going to be like the source that this is coming through. And I'm feeling more so life lessons, but it could also be academic learning. And I feel like that's the source that this energy is calling to you through your life lessons. And it's almost like every trial, every tribulation is going to be of service in teaching or leading you to where you need to be. And in turn, that's going to be the source of what you will then turn around and offer to those around you, offer to the world. This is coming through. And it's the encouragement that's pulling you in, and it's strengthening your faith and positioning you, right, to even be able to teach from this source that's coming in, this source of wisdom. Because teaching is generally just passing on of information to people that may not already know it. And so your experience is going to be a major source of how this energy is coming in for you, how this calling is calling out to your attention. You may find so many jewels and just deposits of information and wisdom coming through. And I'm just seeing somebody just having a simple experience and just having a profound amount of information being channeled through that experience that's awakening you and opening your eyes to what's calling out to you right now. Yeah. You may already be connected in this way as a teacher of some sort or a source of information for those around you. And you could have a lot of people that listen to you very intently for whatever reason. I feel like this is someone who has the attention of those around them. And yeah, that's very important as well. I feel like there's something that you are supposed to be feeding to people. And I don't know why I'm hearing sheep. So you could actually be someone in kind of like a pastoral position as well. I'm hearing that. Yeah, but overall, this is really a time where this information is coming through. This energy, this calling is really coming through in a time where you are able to channel through your difficulties, through obstacles and challenges, through tests. And the focus here is your attitude. That's your attitude. And the fact that this is not a time to surrender to defeat, to self-pity or negativity, or even frustration. It's utilizing your inner power, what you've learned. Just know that you are stronger than you think. When the going gets tough, the tough must get going. So effort is pointing to that. The motivation to keep going in spite of the difficulties of pushing in this way to receive the higher level of consciousness and sight, seeing a greater view for you in terms of everything that's unfolding on your behalf and for you around you. And so this is coming in through you being encouraged and to call upon your inner and outer resources. You may also already be doing this, right? Reaching out or reaching in, right? Rather than just finding the quick solutions. I feel like I'm talking to someone who actually puts in the elbow grease, not someone that's quick to succumb to quick fix solutions or shortcuts or even manipulation. This is someone who doesn't mind planning and getting focused and acting with tenacity and drive. That is your way of breaking through to these deeper levels of access or these higher levels of frequency. That's going to broaden your perspective and give you more of a higher access or higher view so that you can see a greater span of what's happening. Yeah. And so let's get some tarot cards here for you. How this is coming through for you. The Ace of Wands, the Empress, and the Ten of Pentacles. The Ace of Wands, the Empress, and the Ten of Pentacles. And so the Ace of Wands definitely brings in new energy. Definitely inspirational energy. The energy of a new way of doing things. A renewed inspiration as well. No matter how many times you hit a brick wall, this is the energy of being able to get back up and start again, creating again. And you do it flawlessly for who I'm talking to. You do it flawlessly. That's how this is coming through. This is coming through your tenacity and your unwillingness to give up. And being willing to start as many times as it takes. It's almost like the energy of defying gravity. And definitely that's what's standing out to me, this graceful energy. This is almost like a lightness is what's helping you to expand. So releasing this could also allude to dreams. And with the Empress, I feel like this is the ability to really tap into this energy wherever you go. The Empress is this really comfortable feeling. This could be coming in the form of just feeling a sense of belonging wherever you go. You could be someone who is very widely accepted. You could also be someone who is able to connect with just about anybody. You know, it's that kind of energy. And it's through that connection, through your ability to relate and connect on that level, that you are actually tapping in to these greater sense of perspective, or being able to be lifted to a higher view, higher frequencies, tapping into deeper levels of expressions of creativity even as well. And with the Ten of Pentacles, this is definitely understanding the energy of stability as it pertains to your resources. I feel like for you, this is coming in the form of you being able to understand the importance of celebrating everything, the most simplest of things. I feel like I'm speaking to someone who is very appreciative and very graceful, very grateful as well. And it's that energy that allows you to stay tapped in as well. Just simply being thankful for where you are. It's coming through staying in that energy of being open and receptive and thankful for what it is that's being given, for where it is that you are at any moment in time. It's just maintaining a level of gratefulness and thankfulness. How are you being affected by this? I want to know. So we're going to tap into our oracle for chakras. I want to know how you're being affected by this. And we have the owl, which represents wisdom. Of course, we've been talking a lot about wisdom here. And this is the energy of using all of your senses in order to perceive, right? We're talking about perceiving from a greater level, in order to perceive wisdom and information that you're seeking. It's all around you. I feel like that's the energy here. It's just a matter of focusing and tapping in to what's around you. And then we have sacred grove or guidance. This definitely reminds me of that energy of being able to hold the power of darkness, right? Sacred grove. Traveling into the powerful places to receive the guidance you're seeking. This is good. This is good. And so, on that note, we were talking about using all of your senses to perceive the wisdom and the information you're seeking, because it's all around you. And so the owl definitely is a creature. An owl is a part of the animal kingdom, but it's an animal whose wisdom significance taps into wisdom. It also taps into seeing as well. There's a level of connectedness and vision that the owl brings. Insight and kind of like a level of access to the unseen. And of course, wisdom again. They're definitely nocturnal creatures with the magnificent ability to see at great distances, right? Their perception is crazy. It's crazy huge. And they sense through visions and hints at additional senses of clairvoyance. And so this alludes to an intuitive skill, which is the ability to see with the third eye, right? What is really undetectable by the natural eye. So it's a level of definitely spiritual. It's a level of insight that we're seeing here, that we're tapping into. And this is how this is affecting you. It's sharpening that tool that you have. The owl may actually be your spirit animal. This may be connected to you in some way. This definitely alludes to a high sense of feminine energy, connected to the moon and the gift of prophecy as well. So you may find yourself actually tuning in to deeper levels of your giftings. The owl brings that energy. This is how this is affecting you. Yeah. Many people travel with owls. You'll see an owl on someone's shoulder. There's a significance to the owl, right? As a companion that's able to help see or impart wisdom that's needed along the way. Not only can the owl see with an extraordinarily amazing amount of vision, it's also highly sensed when it comes to hearing, and its hearing is refined. And so this is a higher sense of intuition or insight or information that might otherwise be unseen or unheard. There is an impartation of that to you through this process. That's how this is affecting you. This is what's being funneled down through this process. Definitely intuitive energy here. And this is also a calling to begin to understand the need to work more purposefully in the intuitive department. That may be a need to actually focus in or hone in on those giftings that you could subtly feel right now, but they are given to you for you to master them and to hone in on them. Yeah. And that may come by way of like reading books on intuitive perception. You could take classes, right? We have that learning and teaching energy. Intuition is actually a muscle. It's a muscle that needs to be worked and strengthened. It needs to be developed. If you find that your intuition is already expanding, you can teach what you know to others. And when you teach, right, this also will be like a refining activity for your own abilities. And then it serves as a greater good. So that's where that teaching and learning energy is reiterated through this reading. This could also be working through intuitive meditation practices, like a shamanic journey, or offering some type of guided visualizations. And so there's many ways to kind of walk this out. And this was through doing this, right? Through activating and utilizing these gifts or these energies that are flowing down because of what's happening and unfolding here, this wisdom will naturally flow from that inner space and awaken and attune your higher self. Yeah. And so this is the energy of not only seeing, but sensing all the energies, all the vibrations as valuable messaging. So it's attuning you again to your environment. And then with Sacred Grove guidance, this is actually talking about going into places, powerful places, to receive the guidance that you're needing or that you're seeking. And this alludes to a sacred place within the deep recesses of your mind. And it's almost like a long trail into the woods with the path and trees perfectly aligned. And this space is created through visualization, but it's also like an inner knowing that senses its presence. And deep within this space, there's actually the feeling that it's disconnected or far away from the earthly world in which we live this in which we are able to feel or live secluded, right? Like when you meditate, it's almost like you are away from your physical body to this place where you feel this deep sense of peace and wholeness. So it's like that space. It's in that space that this deep guidance lives. And so it's through connecting, right? through the spirit of nature, right? The spirit of some wise teacher, or even the universal life force energy, right? Known as some would call the divine, some would call it source, some would call it God, some would call it creator. Whatever you call it, it's called by many names. And the sacred grove is actually a sanctuary, or a space that's open and available to all that's seeking this higher guidance, this higher level of knowing. In this place, you have the opportunity to really honor yourself and your own insights, and it encourages you and empowers you to use that and use it well. Yeah. And so, and it's called, I feel like it's related to nature. It's called the Sacred Grove, which is a place of a lot of trees, or a very natural space, a very natural space, because it's appealing to what would be related to travelers, right? We were talking about, it's amazing how these messages coincide. We were talking about being zapped, up by a spaceship from one place to another. This appeals to travelers. Yeah. Who are seeking, who are ready. And you may actually have a physical place in nature where you like to go, and where you like to reflect, and where you like to gather and replenish your energy and your spiritual presence, where you like to go and visualize and, kind of energize your powerful abilities. And so this is kind of similar to a physical place, right? But it's a place where you can just reflect. You don't necessarily have to travel anywhere physically. It's a place where you can actually reflect in your mind on an image of a grove and allow it to become a specific place of empowerment, a place of safety. It's like a safe haven for you to make your requests known, for you to explore, and also open yourself up to higher guidance. And in the quietude of being in this space, your answers will come freely. In this space, it's obviously necessary to notice how you're receiving information, whether it's through visualizations, whether it's visual pictures, whether it's coming as words in your mind, whether it's like a physical sense of knowledge or pure knowing. It could even be a smell. It could be a taste, right? But there's a need to really pay attention to how you're receiving information. And that's going to give you more insight on how you're connected, or how you are communicating and receiving your guidance. Yeah. And as you're receiving and being affected and being connected in this way, just know that this is a place and a time where you can ask and be open to the answers, to receive them however they appear. This deep connection to your intuition and your wisdom is fully trustable. You can trust it. This space is for offering itself to you. So this is how this is affecting you. It's providing everything that you would need in this process. And let's get some oracle cards. I actually pulled out lots of oracle cards for this one. So we have the Ace of Inspiration. We have the Moon. We have the Fool. Told you we have lots of cards here for you. We have the Two of Voices. Let's see if we can fit them all in here. We have the Empress. The Nine of Materials. The Wheel of Fortune. And the Four of Materials. And the Nine of Materials incidentally came out in reverse. So let's go ahead and correct that. And so immediately starting off with the Ace of Inspiration. So the Ace of Inspiration is really the Ace of Wands. The Wands carry fire energy. It carries the energy of inspiration, motivation. It's definitely an energy stimulating positive new beginnings, like a new spark, ideas, opportunities, new cycles to start manifesting. It's almost like the energy here. It's like the genesis of hopes and dreams. It's like something being sparked and created out of nothing. May in fact be very chaotic when it's starting, but as it continues to go and grow, it starts to form order. It could also be downloads as well, as we see the energy flowing from the crown chakra, the third eye chakra. And it's pushing through any blocks that may exist, illuminating ideas and passions. And we're talking about how you're being affected by this. This is actually creating the momentum that you need to sustain the energy here. Yeah. And so the Ace of Inspiration, along with the Moon and the Fool and the Two of Voices, this is almost like the energy of almost moving in a way that it's almost like the energy of stepping out on faith. I'll say that. Because this energy here of pushing through, of sparks of inspiration, coupled with the Moon, which is kind of like a hidden, it's very an elusive energy. It's not something you can grasp or put your hands on or control. It's instinctual, intuitive, a need for trust. Along with the Fool is this, it's that same energy of being spontaneous. It's almost like childlike energy of trusting and believing blindly, right? And then the Two of Voices. So I would say the Ace of Inspiration, the Moon, and the Fool are that energy. It's the energy of needing to utilize your faith in this process. And it's probably kind of strengthening that muscle, faith, right? I would say that it's strengthening that muscle. Because again, this is not for the faint of heart, right? This is for somebody that's, you know, the conviction is strong that something is here for you. And amongst that is the need to make very significant choices, and choices that won't be easy, right? And so you'll find yourself kind of with dilemmas at certain points in this process as you move towards this higher view. Many times you'll feel like you'll be in a position where you're between a rock and a hard spot, you know, And you'll need to actually tune in and receive guidance and to reflect on that quiet sense of intuition. And so this is some things that you could be facing, maybe facing moving forward along the way. This is how you'll be affected by this. You'll be placed in a position where you will have to make difficult choices. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But it places you in a position to where you're able to really sit back and receive, right, where you're being taken here. And the Empress brings in a high level of nurturing energy, kind of like the mothering love of the universe. I feel like this is being poured onto you, like you're being very well taken care of. It's also the energy of Gaia, Mother Earth, and divine feminine like energy. It's being really solid in who you are, in the fact that you are divine, you know, and you have something to offer, and you're solid in that. And so you sit in this very nurturing, healing, self-loving, compassionate energy. And there's something not only that you're receiving and creating for yourself, but you're creating it for others as well. And it's an unbridled creativity. And you could see all of that here in this vision. Definitely covered. She has her head covered, protected, right? So many things being birthed. This is almost like the energy of birthing universes. It's fruit from the creatrix, you know, it's that kind of energy. And so you find yourself in this position here of this Empress energy, very well taken care of, very highly functional as well, highly functional. And the Nine of Materials is usually the energy of high vibration, of success. And it's almost like self-made wealth and independence, enjoying your time alone, you know, to take a look and enjoy the fruit of your labor. It's a sense of self-security and comfort and contentment, of lavishness. It's almost like an energy of sophistication in what it is that you have provided for yourself. A status, you know, of prosperity. But in reverse, it's almost a warning not to go that way. It's a warning not to identify in that way, because that's not what this is about. Yes, you may in fact find yourself able to actually view life in that way, but that would not be the right way to view what this is. This is not something that's just for you. This is something that is bigger than that. That's the whole point of this, reaching a higher view. It's bigger than that. There's the need to zoom out from your own personal experience and see the bigger picture. Right? Because when you are identifying with materials, when you're identifying with what you have, or your success or prosperity alone, there's a chance that you will begin to live beyond your means materially, right? Again, it's not, I don't feel like it's about that. So there's a need to stay balanced between work and pleasure, and to understand that your worth is much more than just material success. And there's the need to consume less and create more. So there's a balance that needs to be maintained here, so you're not out of balance. Yeah. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune, which brings in highly support as well. A high sense of support. It's actually a time of fate and destiny that is actually in your favor. It almost says this is your time. This is your time. And I feel like you are beginning to understand, or you will, as everything is shifted towards you. You'll begin to understand how destined this is, how fated this is for you, and how you're able to look back and see everything, how it all has led to this place. It's a fortuitous time for you. And I feel like things are turning, the wheel is turning in your favor. So this is how this is affecting you. This that's happening right now, this that is being called to your attention, it's calling you to really understand this. That this is really a time to move ahead in those things that you are being called to do. There's no better time than right now. Right now. And with the Four of Materials, definitely solid foundations. Solid foundations are being created through this energy. And this is a time to really mentally prepare and step into the abundance mindset. And remember, abundance is not just materials, but abundance is an overall sense of wholeness, an overall sense of wellness, overflow. If you were in a difficult time or a time of hardship, that time is over. You are now building new foundations. You're letting go of old ideas, lack. And you are building a solid, firm structure for the future that's going to be protected, that's going to represent generosity, and that's going to be connected to the future. Okay, so this is how this is affecting you. It's causing you to think forward. It's causing you to think forward and to see things in a grander scale. We have one more set of cards to take a look at what you are being called to do. Even though we've talked about that throughout this reading. What you are being called to do, we have desire, and we have worthiness. Desire and worthiness. And so we'll start off with desire, which is truly colorful. It's beautiful. We see a person here with an arrow. I feel like this is definitely the energy of strategy is what I'm getting. But let's see. Desire. And so this particular oracle card asks you to dream bigger and not to constrict yourself with I'm sorry, I had to pause for a second, but don't let puny desires constrict you, was what I was saying. You have the power to create the life that is meant for you, and it lies within your desires, right? And so you're being asked to allow them to flow boldly. And so now's a good time. I feel like you're being asked to ask yourself like what it is that you really desire, and not only ask yourself, but get specific. Get specific. This is a time to flow. Allow yourself to flow to that sacred place that we were talking about a minute ago, and see it. Allow yourself to smell it. Allow yourself to feel it. Call it in. Call it in now. What is it that you desire? Whatever that is also desires you. And then also asking, does that desire flow from fear or does it flow from love? And it's important to know the difference, because the manifestations that flow from fear-based desires are the ones that will keep you small and safe, right? The desires that flow from your soul or love those are the desires that are going to expand your world. And so you are being asked to understand that what you desires you. So this is a soul-seeking moment that you are being asked to engage. And then with worthiness. With worthiness. This is all in the attitude that you present yourself, And we're back again. I cut off. And so worthiness is asking you not to shrink yourself, basically. Not to hide, not to play small, but understand the value of what it is that stands before you. And it's asking you to really put yourself out there and feel strongly about what it is that you do. The power that you carry is great. Doesn't mean that things will be perfect, but you have the ability to embrace your own perfection, is what this is saying. Bringing your level of worth that you bring into the world. Your being here matters. And all parts of you matter, not just the good parts, the beautiful parts that people accept, but even the parts that others dislike are actually worthy too, worthy of loving too, even more so, because the Creator loves you unconditionally. And you matter. So understand that. Understand that for whoever that is for. And my tarot cards are, here we have the Nine of Cups, the Queen of Swords, the Six of Swords, the Four of Wands, and the Six of Pentacles. So with this desire and the worthiness card, this is bringing in the level that you are responsible to find that sense of fulfillment. Like you've been given the power, the tools, even the drive is being deposited, has been deposited and given to help you flow, free flow towards your holy grail. That thing is going to give the ultimate experience that you desire in life. You are empowered to create and cultivate and find that. Understand that it's in your hands, just like she's holding the chosen. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. And then we have the Queen of Swords, what you're being asked to really just stand in your power. So the Queen of Swords is an energy that is not to be played with, right? She is definitely compassionate, intuitive, but more than that, she is really a solid rock, right? She is definitely strategic. She's ready and able to take on any situation, any challenge. She's definitely balanced. She knows what she wants. And she's not afraid to get it. She's not afraid to do what it takes to get it. The Queen of Swords is definitely wants to know every possible angle that's possible. She wants to know when, who, what, why, where, right? But I feel like this is more than likely the energy that you are being asked to step into. The energy of knowing, being aware, being tapped in, not really being like slumberish and sleepy and late to the party type of energy, but it's being up on your game, right? Also with the Six of Swords, you're being asked to really understand who you are, where you are, what's needed in this time. And if anything does not align with that, that you would be ready and willing to move away from it. The Six of Swords talks about moving to higher ground. There's this level of moving up, right? And in that moving up, there are opportunities to really release things. Don't be afraid to release what's no longer serving you in exchange to what is serving you. Don't be afraid to choose yourself when necessary, is what I'm hearing Spirit to say. Coming home to self. Also going back to that foundational energy, the Four of Wands is creating a space that's really conducive for your growth and your expansion. This is almost like the level of celebration, being brought to a place where you're able to celebrate, where you're able to actually cultivate the environment that is something that's going to give you life, something that's going to feed you and to keep you, in a fulfilled state, full, ready, willing, able, something energizing that's going to keep you engaged. Yeah. The Four of Wands is a completed energy. It's an energy of wholeness, but it also deals with foundations because it's the number 4. And so I feel like Spirit is saying, make sure that you are building things like in a foundational mindset. Make sure you're adding on in a way that's going to build onto the foundation that's sure. That's sure. And make sure it's something that's aligning with you too. 4-4, or the Four of Wands is also known to be the 11-11. It's like, okay, every step of the way, making sure and checking that you are in alignment and doing things that are in alignment and right, and make sure you get the go ahead, right? 11-11 is you're doing it right, keep going. And that's what I'm getting. Just checking in with yourself to make sure that everything is still aligning every step of the way. And don't forget to stop and celebrate through this process. Lastly, connecting with energy and things, because you really don't have a reason to really give away anything. This is connecting with things, connecting with people and energies that are reciprocal, right? Not pouring your resources or your time into things that are futile, that don't have anything to give back, right? This is really understanding the value of what you have and not giving it away for free. Yeah, it's that energy. Yeah, and so overall, this has been a really beautiful reading about being lifted to a higher level of not only connection, understanding, perception. I feel like it's concerning your overall experience as you're experiencing the life, the world around you right now, your life. And so I have two last oracle cards. And we'll end out this reading. We have loss and we have reframe. Two beautiful cards to end this on. And I feel like the ending point and what you are being asked to do, what you're being asked to take away from this reading is, as it pertains to loss, it's like sometimes you learn the value of what you have by what you have lost, right? Sometimes you learn the value of it by what you've lost. Sometimes you learn true offering through loss, and you make a passionate invitation for love to take over and bring her own plan instead of the ego's. And with reframe, this is happening for me, not to me. I feel like this is the energy of understanding, again, on a greater level, on a higher level, from a higher view, from a greater span of consciousness concerning anything that you have dealt with, could be dealing with, or could be being ushered into your life as it pertains to loss. For whoever this is resonating with, there could be something of great significance that you've experienced. And I feel like you are being guided to understand from a greater perspective the reason for that. You're being asked to widen your view, your perspective, and understand that there is a greater purpose involved here, under construction here, that it's happening, it happened for you, it's happening for you, not to you, right? Sometimes we can't even appreciate like what we have without experiencing loss, right? It's almost like a child that never had to go out and work for anything, that it's all been handed to them and provided for them naturally. I feel like you're actually stepping into this position right now, but it took a process to get here. Now that you understand what it means to lose something, right? Now you understand what it means to actually offer something up that is really near and dear to your heart, right? Now you're able to understand on that greater perspective what that means to have it, what it means to be in a position to have all your needs met. You couldn't even understand what that meant unless you were in a position of lack or need or loss of some kind. And so it's understanding now, as you move forward, as you look back, as you even try to perceive where you are in this moment, it's understanding that whatever is happening on your behalf. It's almost like a gift that's being given. Now you can understand that this way. And so I also feel like when we're talking about loss, we're not only talking about loss of things or people. Loss also is expressed in terms of transformation. When you go through a transformation, there is the loss of the old way of living, or even the old you. Like, there's an exchange that happens, and it's letting go of the old to be able to receive the gift of the new. And so this very well could be talking about this transformation that's happening as you're shifting from the old perspective, or the old way of being, or the old things that were very much made up the value of life as you knew it. Giving that up as an offering through loss, willingly, and openly and passionately inviting in love to take over and bring a new plan instead of what was the ego's plan. It's expanding to a higher level of consciousness that's bringing in this greater span of view, this completely new perspective. And so there's a trade-off that's happening here. And understanding loss is being renewed, and it's being given a new meaning, a new way to view it, a new perspective. Yeah. And so this was so beautiful. I hope this resonated. I hope someone was able to tap in and really find wisdom, tidbits for life. If you enjoyed the reading, I ask that you definitely respond, comment, let me know that you enjoyed it. Go ahead and like. You can also share. If you would like to schedule a personal reading, I openly invite you to do so. My calendar link is below in the description box. If you feel led to donate, my arms are open for that as well. And if this is your first time dropping by, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. All of these things help the channel to grow and to be more openly discovered. And so I appreciate it. And with that being said, this was reading number 3 of What is Calling for Your Attention. That higher view is calling. There's so much waiting on the other side of that discovery. And so thank you for stopping by. It has been Letty Speaks, also known as Sunfire369. Until next time, take care.